welcome to the QLA Voice, more than a podcast. Huge podcast coming up for you today as we discuss Barcelona's worst signings team of the decade. So stay tuned, it promises to be very interesting. We start with goalkeeper Jose Manuel Pinto. Based on the quality of backups within the past decade, from a talent and consistency standpoint, he was definitely the worst. You never knew what to expect from Pinto. He was always an accident waiting to happen. Next, we go to Douglas. Douglas was never Barcelona quality. It's as plain as that. Now, I remember researching, about him closer to the signing. And, even the journalists from Brazil, they were totally confused at how Douglas pulled off this move to Barcelona. Because he was not even rated highly there either. He was not a prodigy. He was not good. I don't know what Douglas was. And he signed for 5 seasons. And out of that 5, he only spent 2 seasons with the team. And within those 2 seasons, he only made 8 appearances. Right? The rest of the time, he spent on loan. And, that tells you all you need to know about Douglas, right? He couldn't defend. He couldn't attack. He couldn't pass, and no clubs were really interested in taking him because he was that bad. We moved to Chijinski. Now, Chijinski was signed from Shakhtar Donetsk for 25 million euros. Upon arriving, he struggled to adapt to the system and to, secure a spot in the first team. But rightly so, because it was occupied by Gerard Piqué and Carles Puyol at the time. However, he was intended to have a substitute role and eventually, being groomed into, being, a starting position. However, after one season, he was sold back to Shakhtar Donetsk for a sizable loss. He was sold for 15 million euro against the wishes of Guardiola. The president at the time, Sandro Rosell, was not convinced by the player, and he saw that selling Chijinski was essential to boosting the club's finances at the time. Jason Murillo. Now, Jason Murillo's loan transfer to Barcelona was a very puzzling one for me. He was brought in January to offer coverage to an already injury-ridden defense. However, I don't think that he was given that much opportunity to show any sort of consistency and, prove his worth to the team. And I think, that it was also a bit unfair to the player, to hand him his debut in the Copa del Rey against Levante, alongside a makeshift defense featuring, Nelson Semedo, Chumi, and Juan Miranda. And, Chumi himself, he's a horrible defender. So, I don't think, it was very fair to the player. And, as a result, he wasn't able to make a positive impression on the fans or on the management because he only managed to play, 4 games, right? So, this was a very strange deal for me. And, now he's moved on to Celta Vigo and, he's getting the consistent gameplay and he has actually been doing, a lot better and he's a bit more settled now and is able to show some of his worth. Jeremy Mathieu. Now, he is one of my favorites to speak about. I remember him having one good season for us, which was his first season. However, we tremendously overpaid for a 30-year-old. We paid 20 million euros for a 30-year-old Jeremy Mathieu. And when he was signed, he was supposed to be Puyol's replacement. Now that is madness. How could Barcelona look at this player, a 30-year-old Mathieu, and think that he possesses sufficient quality to replace a leader like Puyol? He was always a frustrating player to watch. He was slow in pace. He had poor positioning. He was poor on the ball. And he was never confident while in position. And these are all qualities that Barcelona look for when deciding to sign a central defender. So how it is they could look at Matthew knowing all of this and still decide to sign him for 20 million euros, that is just beneath me, and it just speaks to some sort of desperation. Whenever this guy played, he was quite a plague. And he is just one player that I just want to forget about. Alex Song. Now, Barcelona was looking for a central defensive midfielder with the ability to play centre back at the time. And I don't know if someone at the club, was watching Arsenal TV one day and saw that Song played this role at centre back one or two times and thought that yes, he is the right player for the job. Albeit he was coming off his best season ever for Arsenal, he was never Barcelona quality. He could not handle the intensity, of Barca's one-touch football due to a heavy first touch. He was too indisciplined to protect a back four because he had more of an offensive mindset. He always wanted to join in with the attack. And he was slow in general, but he was even slower, to recover possession when being caught out. The only thing that Song will be remembered for at Barcelona is when he stepped forward to take the La Liga trophy from Puyol during celebrations, when Puyol was actually handing it to Eric Abidal, who had just recovered from cancer. Philippe Coutinho remains as Barcelona's biggest disappointment. When Coutinho was first signed, or just before he was signed, he was being touted in the media to be Iniesta's replacement. Now, I was never comfortable with such a comparison because Coutinho had never shown that level of consistency in his life, not even at Liverpool. He had just started to show consistency, but still he was always that type of player to play 5 good games and then switch off for 5 and then play 5 good games again, and it was always that sort of on and off type consistency. And even though he had these consistency issues, a part of me still believe that he would have come in and alleviated some of the creativity issues in Barcelona outside of this Messi dependency that we have going. And playing in Valverde's system and losing, confidence as a result, this caused his value to plummet, and Barcelona will struggle to recoup a significant portion of their initial investment on the player. Now, Setien seems to be an admirer of the player, and maybe, who knows, he may be given a chance to show or to prove that yes, his signing was worth it. Andre Gomez. Now, Andre Gomez was never Barcelona quality. I don't, recall him ever having an outstanding game in Blaugrana colours. He always looked out of depth on the field. He did not have the mentality to handle the immense pressure that comes with playing at a club of this magnitude. And unlike most players, he was afforded with a lot of playing time to prove his worth, right? He was low on confidence, and it transcended to his timid gameplay. And whenever he played, you always got the sense of how many mistakes is Andre Gomez going to make today? That was all you thought about as a supporter. Arda Turan. Now, Arda Turan was a pawn in Bartomeu's election campaign and run for presidency. At the time, he was currently the interim president who stepped down to run for the presidency position. And other candidates such as Laporta had promised to sign players such as Pogba. Bartomeu used his influence over the club's interim committee to sign the player he was promising during his campaign, and that player was Arda Turan. What I think affected Arda Turan the most was that he was unable to play for 6 months. Turan had joined during the transfer ban year, and because he was not able to play for 6 months and to upkeep his match fitness, this form or the high level that he was playing at while at Atletico Madrid, he could not maintain it, right? And he was coming off the top of his game from Atleti. And things, because of this ban, it did not turn out for him as we'd hoped. Ousmane Dembele. Now, Ousmane Dembele is arguably the most talented young player on the Barcelona squad. He has been incredibly unlucky with injuries and his initial ill-disciplined moments, which were a bad combination for success at one of Europe's elite clubs. Also, the price tag, Barcelona initially outlined to pay, and Neymar having left that same summer he arrived, it did not make things easier for the Frenchman. Dembele was always a fan favourite. However, the mood has soured on him over the past season after another injury-ridden campaign. Hopefully, Dembele can turn his career around from flop to superstar, whether it be at Barcelona or elsewhere. I really, really love this player, but because of the price tag and the output so far and the amount of injuries, he has to be placed as one of Barcelona's worst signings. Kevin Prince Boateng. Now, Kevin Prince Boateng's deal or transfer to FC Barcelona was a complete head scratcher for me. I do not know, maybe Barcelona were living somewhere between 2010, 2011, 2012, thereabout, because those were his peak years, and signing him then would have made much more sense. But signing Kevin Prince Boateng now was as good as signing no one. He added absolutely nothing to the team. It's as simple as that. This deal was a complete disaster, and one that I hope FC Barcelona never makes again. So, there you have it. This is our worst signings 11 team of the decade. And in it we have Jose Manuel Pinto, Douglas, Chajinski, Murillo, Mathieu, Alex Song, Andre Gomez, Felipe Coutinho, Ousmane Dembele, Kevin Prince Boateng, and Arda Turan. Also give notable mentions to Alex Vidal, Yeremina, Thomas Vermaelen, Afellay, and Paco Alcacer. If you agree with our 11, feel free to drop a comment and let us know. If you think that we left out someone or we need to replace someone on the team, also leave a comment and let us know what you're thinking. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. This is the Cule Voice, more than a podcast. See you next time.